Wow, that was a flight. I have a new friend, Carpet. I'm going to introduce him to Jasmine today. And I also cook her and of course for you a delicious Indian dessert. Have fun. Today I will take you to the land of fantasy and adventures and to the land of Aladdin and his magic lamp. By the way, there's a nice attraction at Disneyland Paris. It's often forgotten because the entrance is a little bit hidden. The entrance is between Alice in Wonderland and the big windmill. There you will find the land of fairies. If you have too much of the hustle and bustle at Disneyland and you need a little break, go there. You can make a leisurely road trip through the world of fairy tales and adventures, and also through the Wonder Cave of Aladdin. Today we prepare some delicious Indian desserts, starting with Amrikand. And for this, we need the following ingredients. For the Amrikand, the yogurt has to drain off. I use a filter cloth for this. I put the yogurt in the filter cloth. If you don't have a filter cloth, you can also use a coffee filter. I squeeze the yogurt out and let it stand for about 2 hours so that it can drain even more. Then I put saffron threads in some warm milk. We also need mango puree. For that I would actually have to peel, dice and puree the mango, but I don't like doing it at all. That's why I'm going to use Disney magic again. Bibbidi, babbidi, boo! How easy is the life with Disney magic? The yogurt has drained for about 2 hours. It looks almost a bit like white cheese. I add the powdered sugar and stir everything well. If you use granulated sugar, then you should let the yogurt stand for about 30 minutes so that the sugar can dissolve. Then I add some of the mango puree. The saffron milk, the cardamom and the pistachios. I stir everything well. I keep some of the mango puree and the pistachios for decoration. And that was everything. Ready is our Mickey?
Amrikand.
Thank you very much. First I mix the egg yolks with a little milk.
Mit etwas von der Milch.
And then I put the milk and the cream in a saucepan. I let the mixture boil and let it reduce a little. When the milk is boiling, I take it off the stove and add the saffron threads. As you know, saffron is quite expensive, Some years ago, I was invited to a family in Spain for a real Spanish paella, and then I had to learn that some people in Spain don't cook paella with real saffron at all. Often they use a dye, it's called colorante, because saffron is simply too expensive for many. But of course, nothing is too expensive for you. We are going to take real saffron today. I stir the mixture frequently while boiling, that it can reduce a bit. When the mixture has reduced to about 80%, I add the sugar and the egg yolk mixture. I gradually add the mixture so that the yolk does not congeal. The mixture should now boil briefly, and then I put it aside so that it can cool down a bit. In the meantime, I roast the nuts. For this, I put the pistachio nuts, almonds, and cardamom in the pan. Make sure you don't mix up the amounts for pistachios and cardamom. They look a little bit similar. If you take too much cardamom, the ice cream will taste like soap. That smells really fantastic. I put the nut mixture in a mortar and grind it until it's a fine mixture. You don't really want to bite on a whole cardamom nut. It's a very unpleasant taste. If that's too much work for you, you can also buy cardamom, almonds and pistachios in shredded form. But I think if you roast the ingredients and grind it up yourself, the taste is even more intense and much more delicious. Now I add the nut mixture into the milk cream mixture. And then I add 2 teaspoons of rose water. This is often used for desserts in India. It gives the ice cream a very special taste. I stir the mixture well and then let it cool before it goes straight into the ice cream maker. If you don't have an ice cream maker, take a look at our anniversary video, Moulin au chocolat and mango mint ice cream. There I show you a trick how to make ice cream without an ice cream maker. The list of ingredients and all other information you will find in the info box below the video. Some viewers ask me how exactly they can find the info box. On a tablet computer or smartphone, there's a small arrow next to the title. When you press it, the info box opens. And on the desktop computers, there's a button below the title. It says View More. When you click on it, the info box opens. By the way, the button for the like, for subscription and the bell is also very close. I would be very happy about a subscription from you. And of course, the subscription is free of charge for you. The ice cream mixture comes directly from the fridge, so the ice machine has less work. I gradually add the mixture into the ice cream maker, and the ice cream should be ready in about 30 minutes. I let the rice soak in water for an hour, then drained it and put it in a jar. Now I add the coconut flakes and puree everything until a thick mass is formed. The rice has stood for a while and got dry, that's why I add some more water.
damit das
then I can puree it a little bit easier. I put the mixture in a saucepan and heat it up. When it gets hot, I add 300 milliliters of water. I stir it well and let it boil. When the rice cooks, I add the sugar. The coconut rice pudding have to simmer gently for about 20 minutes. You have to stir frequently so that it not burn. In the meantime, I roast the almonds, pistachios and raisins. They come later as a topping on the rice pudding. Rice pudding is made from a short grain rice, which contains more starch than long grain rice. That's why it sticks together so well. If you don't have rice grains for rice pudding at home, you can also use paella rice or risotto rice. It has the same properties. After 20 minutes, I add the cardamom, stir everything well, and our Nariyal Chikchi is ready. By the way, I had wild discussions with Mickey about how to pronounce this dish correctly. Mickey thinks it's pronounced Nariyal Kichi. Maybe one of you knows it exactly and can tell us how to pronounce it correctly. For the honey balls, I heated the milk in the microwave and now I add the sugar and the yeast. And by the way, did you know that yeast is called Germ in Austria? I didn't know that before. Also, it's actually obvious, because Germknödel, of course, are yeast dumplings. I stir the mixture and then set it aside, so that the yeast can do its job. As you already know from my last videos, whenever I make a dough, I sift through the flour beforehand, then the dough becomes a little bit more airy. I make a well in the middle of the flour with a spoon. And then I add the yeast mixture. I stir in some flour from the edge so that a kind of pre-dough is created. I cover the dough with a damp cloth and let it rest for about 20 minutes. The pre-dough has risen well. Now I add the egg yolks and the butter and knead the dough briefly again. The dough is ready when it's about this consistency. I put it back in the bowl and it can rest for another 60 minutes. The dough has risen well. I cut off some dough with a spoon and form small balls that I fry in hot oil. To do this, I test whether the oil is hot enough. I do that with a wooden spoon. When small pearls rise on the stick, the oil is hot enough and we can start frying.
Wir können mit dem Frittieren beginnen.
I gradually add the dough balls into the hot oil.
In das heiße Öl.
When they are golden brown, I take them out with a ladle and let them drain on some kitchen paper. And then I cover them with some honey. Now I'm ready deep frying the dough balls. In India, the balls are traditionally coated only with honey, but today we will try something different. That's why I'm going to pimp them a little bit up. I will roll them in sesame, pistachios, desiccated coconut or cinnamon and sugar. That not only look very good, it also tastes fantastic. And when the honey balls are ready, we can start serving.
Voila! Bon appétit!
I put the yogurt and the mango puree in a piping bag and then put both in layers in a glass and decorated it with some mango. I decorated the rice pudding with the roasted kernels, and the honey balls I put on a skewer. And I've come up with something very special for the ice cream. I made caramel Mickey Mouses. For this I made caramel in a pan, roasted the kernels and put the kernels together with the caramel in Mickey cookie cutters. It is a great result, isn't it? That's everything for today. And don't forget, if you liked the video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel and press the bell button. But now I have to go. Jasmine is already waiting. I will look for carpet and then I will take off.
So!
Ready to start. See you soon again. Your Christian.